Cape Talk.
WhatsApp 072 567 1567.
Travel on Cape Talk is brought to you by Standard Bank Travel. Book your next trip on Standard Bank app and save up to 40% on your flights. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. Now, traveling is changing. More and more families are saying, yes, we want a holiday, but we'd also love it to have meaning. That is where voluntourism comes in. Now, it's the first time I've heard this word, and my curiosity is piqued, and I'm ready to hear more about it. Travel experiences that allow you to actually give back, learn something new, and still actually enjoy being on holiday. So today in Wonder the World, we want to unpack how this works in real life. And to help us, we're joined on the line by Shirley-Anne McQuade. She's the Western Cape Regional Manager for Flight Centre, and she's here to help us understand what is voluntourism, what does it look like, how do we get in on it, do it responsibly, and if it's something that ordinary families, ordinary South Africans like you and me can actually enjoy. Welcome to Cape Talk, Shirley-Anne.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me on the show today.
Thank you for joining us. Let's start at the very beginning. It's the first time that I've heard about this concept called voluntourism. Can you just tell us a little bit more about what it is?
Yes, sure. Voluntourism combines travel and community service. Travelers lend their time and energy into meaningful local projects while exploring a new destination. This all came about sort of in the early 2000s, where it's a backpacker trend, but it has now evolved. Today's voluntourists are often families who are wanting to teach their children about empathy, gratitude, and create a more global awareness. And there's a strong generational shift for parents who once backpacked across Asia many years ago. They're now taking their kids on a purposeful-led adventure.
I love that. And because this is my generation of people. You see, this is our Gen X people. I love that they've taken this because it's a value, right? That going somewhere else and kind of being mindful and intentional. And obviously, we've become a lot more aware of our impact as travelers. So when people go on holiday with a purpose, what do they usually imagine? What does that normally look like?
Family voluntourism transforms an ordinary holiday into something truly memorable. It forges deep family bonds while giving the children a real-world learning experience. And studies have shown that youth volunteering boosts self-esteem, empathy, and resilience. And it's a very powerful antidote to that screen time and that stress that families are under these days. And parents that experience, we love experiencing where travel, service, and education can turn the world into a living classroom. And it gives the children a better chance to actually experience the world in its real place, in its real thing, and come back and tell wonderful stories.
Now, Shirley, and some parents are saying, oh my goodness gracious. I mean, if I've got it, that just sounds like more work for me. That I want to be on holiday with my kids. And these kids are like herding little cats. So is it going to be more work or less work? Because do kids then, which is actually my question, is it appropriate for my kids? Do my kids need to be a certain age, and do they need to be able to, get involved? Because otherwise I can see parents going like, I'm not going on holiday to get to nag this kid to go and have this experience.
Yes. The thing is that if you come to Flight Centre, we can put you in touch with some great organizations that can involve a holiday as well as a little bit of volunteering and work. So it's a balanced trip. So it's not full-time volunteering. Right. Maybe a half a morning here, half a morning there, in between snorkeling. You can go and do a few things. Generally speaking, I would say kids, I wouldn't take the young children along, but maybe say from about 8 or 9 or 10 years up, definitely for teenagers, definitely can recommend it. Right. If you're looking at destinations that are really close to home where they can add value, so for example, like Mauritius, they've got, help care for rescue dogs with paws in between the beach dips, so it may be a morning just of bathing the dogs, petting them, feeding them, maybe grooming them. In the Seychelles, for instance, you can go and join the coral restoration with marine biologists in the Kapinski Resort. So they're really giving a true impact back into nature, into the environment, and working alongside marine biologists and really maybe inspiring them to follow that path maybe one day.
I mean, I think what I'm hearing you say is, sorry to break your word, what I'm hearing you say is that if you curate a holiday where you're kind of matching the interests of your kids with the interests of, and I think it's such a great way to keep them off their devices on a holiday as well. How have families been responding to it from your clients that have taken this kind of approach to a more purposeful holiday experience together? Because there must be incredible bonding that happens. How have they experienced it and given feedback to you?
So it's really been great because it's inspired youngsters to really get involved in the community, and they come back, from an overseas holiday where they've reached out, say, in Mauritius or in the Seychelles, maybe even as far as Costa Rica, where they've assisted with turtle hatching programs. They can then get involved closer to home, like mornings at Sandkop with penguin rescue mornings, feeding the penguins, or maybe getting involved in locally at the garden route with green pop, planting trees, maybe getting involved in our sand parks in our nature conservation, eradicating alien vegetation from our parks. So it really does give the next generation of travellers are moving less from leave no trace, but leave more to leave a positive impact. So I think that's where people are going now, is leaving a positive impact, not only just no trace of where I've been, making sure that my travel is sustainable.
Right. Let's talk a little bit more about, because I think it's one thing, and you've mentioned some of the international destinations, but let's talk a little bit more about that now, some of the experiences. And let's start local in South Africa, because you did mention here in Cape Town the penguin rescue mornings at Sandkop, which is such a great initiative to be a part of. And you mentioned on the garden route about tree planting with green pop, but you can also go further afield to Kruger region and Addo regions. What could a day there actually look like?
They're obviously a little bit more physical activity. So if you're doing, eradicating the vegetation side, more of your older teens and physically able people to go out there and eradicate some alien vegetation. It might involve a little bit of walking in the bush, chopping a few trees. So it does get a little bit more physical, as opposed to maybe feeding the penguins at Sandkop. But also, beach cleanups are also a great opportunity. Eradicating plastic from our oceans is such a big problem worldwide. And, a morning activity of dedicating your time and making sure that we can clean up our beaches, get rid of all the plastics, and you can just walk along the beach at Joburg or wherever and just pick up some plastic, pick up some rubbish and destroy it responsibly. That will also add to our, aid our environment and also just giving back to the community.
We're talking to Shirley-Anne McQuade. She is the Western Cape Regional Manager for Flight Centre, and we're talking about Voluntourism, travel experiences that allow you to give back, learn something new, and still actually enjoy being on holiday. Okay, let's talk about some of the options for some of us who might be thinking about some international experiences, because you don't have to go very, very far. No. I know there's something in Namibia. They do some seal rescue work.
Yes, they do seal rescue work near Walvis Bay in that sort of area, as well as beach cleanups. They've got a very big, a call to clean up the beaches along that coastline as well. So it's just a simple matter of, signing up to the Ocean Conservation Days. It's called Ocean Conservation Namibia, which are volunteers which support trained teams. And there's no direct handling, or you don't have to partake in high-impact coastal cleanups, but there's an opportunity to aid sustainability with sea breeze and exploring the local environment. But at a glance, it's only a half-day sort of activity, and it normally runs between April to October. And you would need a bit of stamina. So I would say you'd need to be fit. That's what I'm saying, teenagers. Definitely teenagers. Young kids, I would say more maybe can go to Sandcob from 8 years up. They can go to feeding the penguins. But, some of these activities do require a little bit more physical activity. That is what you would find in Namibia. If you are looking at traveling a little bit further, Costa Rica with turtle hatching programs, unforgettable empathy lessons for kids. It really, really opens up, their balls to see the big impact that they can have in the
and your kids can be relatively young for that, right? I mean,
yes, I would say from about 8, 9, 10 years old upwards. And they do night patrols. It takes about 1 or 2 hours. The peak time for that is between June and November, depending on the coast. Beach walking, you use red light torches only. And what child doesn't get excited about seeing turtles being hatched and moving into the sea? It's the most incredible experience.
What adults don't get excited? You have to be a real killjoy if you don't get excited about turtles hatching on the beach. Come
Absolutely. And another great one, is the Seychelles with the corals, with obviously global warming and the warming of the seas and damage that's been done to corals. People can actually invest their time in between snorkeling, going and plant new corals. And it's at the Kapinski Resort. I highly recommend it because they actually even take photographs and they can actually give you progress reports on the impact that you've done. So you can actually see the value that you've added to the environment.
It sounds really, I'm excited. I'm excited. I think before we wrap up with you, I think I want to ask you, if a family is intrigued about this, but now they don't know where to start, what's the first step? And I know that you are with Flight Centre, but a lot of people are not booking through services like yours anymore. Some feel like maybe they can curate this on their own. Is this something that you could curate on your own? If you can just chat to us about those options.
Yes, you could create on your own, but I'll be very mindful of the impact that you're making. Is it because you're coming back richer, is it you're actually adding value? That is a very important part. With Flight Centre, we do have a operator that is has various different trips that you can that do have touches. Yes, like a specialist, like G Adventures, for instance. They are hooked up with planetaria, so everything that they do adds value back to the community. So your impact it's not about you paying for a photograph to be doing volunteer work, or it's actually your money that you contribute, or the time and energy that you've contributed to this activity. Actually, you can see the benefit to the local community. It doesn't take away from jobs from the local people. It actually adds more value to the environment, and I think that is the important part.
What you're saying, Shirley-Anne, is there's an ethical component actually that people need to consider. So it's probably best to get a conversation going with a good travel advisor who's an expert that can tell you that if I'm planting that tree, the actual impact that it's going to be having, as opposed to, like you say, just coming back and I took a picture hatching a turtle, but I don't know what other biodiversity I might have killed along the way.
Yes, and the money that you've volunteered, making sure that money that you've contributed, if you have contributed anything towards it, goes to the local people. And it's not there to go and be for, children to be exploited, or in the environment to be exploited, or animals to be exploited for their personal gain. It is about giving back to the environment and to the community. And that's what you really want at the end of the day.
Shirley-Anne McQuade, thank you so much for chatting to us today, the Western Cape Regional Manager for Flight Centre. Where can people get a hold of you if they want to know more?
You can come to any Flight Centre store. We've got, 45 stores all across South Africa. You're welcome to reach out to any of our travel experts. They'll be able to point you in the right direction.
Thank you so much. And that is it for your rendition of today's Wonder in the World. Ready for your next adventure? Standard Bank's travel platform makes booking, paying for and managing flights easier than ever. All straight from the banking app. Get up to 40% off flights for friends and family. Plus, enjoy complimentary travel insurance, lounge access when you book with your credit card. It's the start of Standard Bank's exciting journey, a smarter, seamless travel experience that keeps growing with you. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply. It's 2:00 and time for news.